The morning sun cast long shadows across the crystal forests of New Eden. The tall, blue-skinned Zilani people moved quietly between the glowing trees, tending to their crops and singing their ancient songs. Their world was peaceful. It had been peaceful for over 3,000 years. Elder Vashidi walked through the main settlement, her 4 arms carrying baskets of sweet fruit. The Zilani had no weapons. They had no armies. They had never needed them. Their philosophy was simple. All life was precious and violence solved nothing. That philosophy was about to be tested. The first sign of trouble came from the sky. Dark ships appeared above the crystal forests like angry storm clouds. They were ugly things built for war and painted black. The Zilani looked up in wonder. They had never seen ships like these before. "What are those?" asked young Meltar, pointing with one of his thin fingers. "I do not know," Elder Vashati replied. Her voice was calm, but worry crept into her heart. "Perhaps they are travelers who need help." The ships opened fire. Beams of red energy cut through the crystal trees. The beautiful singing crystals that had grown for millennia turned to dust in seconds. The Zilani screamed and ran, but they had nowhere to go. More ships appeared, surrounding their world like hunters surrounding prey. Ground forces landed in the settlement. Soldiers in black armor kicked down doors and dragged families from their homes. The leader was a Krex, a species known for their cruelty. His lizard-like face was covered in scars, and his yellow eyes showed no mercy. "My name is Warlord Skrax," he announced through his helmet speaker. "This world now belongs to the Krex Consortium. You will work for us. You will mine the crystals. Those who resist will die." Elder Vashati stepped forward. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. "Please, we are a peaceful people. We have done nothing wrong. Why do you hurt us?" Skrax laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Because we can. Because you are weak. Because your crystals will make us rich." He pointed at the glowing forest. "Strip it all. Kill anyone who gets in the way." The Zilani tried to protect their home. They formed circles around the sacred trees and sang songs of peace. The Krex soldiers shot them where they stood. Blue blood stained the white ground. Within hours, the Zilani defense force was gone. They had been guards, not warriors. Their small ships were destroyed before they could even launch. The planet's shield generators were blown up. There was no resistance left. The survivors were herded into camps. Families were separated. Children cried for their parents. The Krex soldiers enjoyed their fear. In the main communication center, one Zilani named Kethlo crawled through the wreckage. He was bleeding from 3 wounds, but he had to reach the long-range transmitter. His people needed help. With shaking hands, he activated the emergency beacon. The machine hummed to life, its lights flickering. Kethlo spoke into the microphone, his voice breaking. "This is New Eden Colony in the Theta Sector. We are under attack. The Krex Consortium has invaded our world. They are killing our people and destroying our forests. We have no weapons. We have no armies. Please, if anyone can hear this message, we need help. We are dying." The message went out into space, traveling faster than light to every corner of the galaxy. It reached the Galactic Council on the capital world of Centaurus Prime. Politicians and diplomats read the message with concern. "We must form a committee," said Councillor Vexna. "We need to study the situation and plan a proper response. But that will take weeks," protested another councillor. "Maybe months." "These things cannot be rushed," Vexna replied. "We must follow proper procedures." The message also reached merchant ships and passenger vessels. Most ignored it. Space was dangerous, and getting involved in someone else's war was bad for business. But the message reached other places too. On the edge of known space, a small patrol ship picked up the signal. The ship was painted in blue and white, with the symbol of Earth on its hull. Inside, Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, listening to the desperate plea from New Eden. Chen was human. She had dark hair tied back in a military style and scars on her hands from old battles. Her crew of 32 were all human too. They were part of the Terran Deep Space Fleet, the most feared military force in the galaxy. Humans were different from other species. They came from a world called Earth, a planet so dangerous that most aliens called it a death world. Earth had poisonous air, deadly storms, and predators that hunted in packs. The humans who survived such a place were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Captain," said Lieutenant Torres from the communication station, "we're getting reports that the Galactic Council is forming a committee to discuss the situation." Chen's jaw tightened. "A committee? while people die. Orders from command? Asked Torres. Chen stood up from her chair. She was not a tall woman, but there was something in her eyes that made even veteran soldiers nervous. Get me Admiral Harrison on secure channel. The hologram of Admiral Harrison appeared on the main screen. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Chen, I assume you heard the message from New Eden? Yes, sir. What are our orders? Harrison was quiet for a moment. Officially, we wait for the Galactic Council to decide on a course of action. And unofficially, sir? The Admiral's expression changed. Unofficially, you're on patrol in that sector anyway. If you happen to encounter pirates attacking innocent civilians, well, that's what patrol ships are for. Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Understood, sir. Chen out. She turned to her crew. Set course for New Eden, maximum speed. But Captain, said Ensign Park, we're just one ship. Intelligence reports say the Krex have at least 50 vessels in that system. Chen looked at the young officer. Ensign, how long have you been serving on human ships? 6 months, Captain. Then you haven't learned the first rule yet. Chen's voice was cold. When someone calls for help, we answer. We don't count the odds. We don't wait for permission. We answer the call. The ship's engines roared to life. The human patrol vessel turned toward New Eden and jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, other human ships were already moving. Chen's message had gone out on military channels. 5 more vessels were changing course, abandoning their patrols to race toward the Theta sector. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. They were not just warriors. They were protectors. And when innocents were threatened, they would move heaven and earth to help. The Krex had made a mistake. They had attacked people under humanity's protection. They just didn't know it yet. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the TSF Retribution as it cut through hyperspace toward New Eden. Around her, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were veterans of a dozen conflicts, men and women who had seen the worst the galaxy could offer. Time to arrival? Chen asked. 47 minutes, Captain, replied Navigator Williams. He was a thin man with nervous hands, but he could plot a course through hyperspace better than anyone in the fleet. Chen nodded and activated her communication console. This is Captain Chen to all ships. Report status. One by one, the other human vessels checked in. The TSF Hammer, commanded by Captain Rodriguez. The TSF Thunder under Captain Kim. The TSF Lightning with Captain Okafor at the helm. The TSF Storm, led by Captain Petrov. And finally, the TSF Fury, commanded by Captain Jackson, down 6 ships in total. Not much by galactic standards, but they were human ships. They carried human crews. That made them the most dangerous force in known space. All ships report ready for combat, Chen announced to her crew. Weapons are charged. Marines are suited up. Medical bays are prepared for casualties. Lieutenant Torres looked up from his station. Captain, we're getting more transmissions from New Eden. The situation is getting worse. Chen's expression darkened. Put it on speakers. The voice that came through was weak and frightened. This is Cathlo of New Eden. If anyone is listening, please help us. They are taking our children. They are loading them onto slave ships. Our crystal forests are being destroyed. There are bodies everywhere. The bridge went silent. Every human on the ship felt something cold settle in their stomach. Children, the Krex were taking children. Sir, said Weapons Officer Blake. Request permission to arm all torpedo tubes. Granted, Chen replied. Load everything we have. The human ships carried weapons that made other species nervous. Kinetic bombardment systems that could crack planets. Plasma torpedoes that burned at the temperature of stars. Railguns that fired metal slugs at near light speed. Most aliens thought such weapons were excessive. Humans disagreed. Captain, said Torres, we're getting a transmission from the Galactic Council. Put it through. The image of Counselor Vexena appeared on the main screen. The alien looked like a walking plant with green skin and leaves instead of hair. Captain Chen, I understand you are moving toward the New Eden system. That's correct, Counselor. You must stop immediately. The Council is still discussing the proper response. Military action has not been authorized. Chen's voice was calm, but her crew could see the anger in her eyes. Counselor, with respect, people are dying while you discuss. These matters require careful consideration. You cannot simply attack other ships without proper authorization. What if this escalates into a larger conflict? Then we'll deal with that too. Vexena's leaf hair rustled in agitation. Captain, I order you to return to your patrol route immediately. Chen looked at the alien for a long moment. Counselor, let me explain something to you. We humans have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. We won't do nothing. But the legal implications. Chen cut the transmission. Torres. No more calls from the council unless it's an emergency. Yes, Captain. The ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Eden system. Immediately alarms began to sound. Contact, shouted Sensor Officer Martinez. I'm reading 53 Krex vessels in orbit around New Eden. They're strip mining the crystal forests from space. On the main screen, the humans could see the beautiful blue-green planet being torn apart. Massive mining ships were pulling away chunks of the surface. The crystal forests that had taken millennia to grow were being harvested like crops. Sir, said Martinez, I'm also reading 17 slave ships. They're fully loaded and preparing to leave the system. Children, Chen thought. Those ships are full of children. All ships battle formation, she ordered. Priority targets are the slave ships. Nothing gets away. Captain, said Ensign Park, we're outnumbered 8-1. Maybe we should call for backup. Chen turned to look at the young officer. Ensign, do you know why other species call us Deathworlders? Because we come from a dangerous planet, Captain. No, that's only part of it. Chen's voice was cold. They call us Deathworlders because we are the children of predators. Every human alive is descended from creatures that survived in a world trying to kill them. We hunted mammoth with spears. We fought saber-toothed tigers with rocks and sticks. We didn't just survive on Earth, we conquered it. She pointed at the screen showing the Krex fleet. Those pirates think they understand war because they can shoot defenseless farmers. They have no idea what's coming for them. The Krex had noticed the human ships. Their fleet was turning to face the new arrivals. Chen could imagine their confusion. 6 small ships against 53? The humans must be crazy. They were right. Sir, said Communications Officer Torres, the Krex are hailing us. Put them through. The image that appeared on screen was ugly even by Krex standards. Warlord Skrax had more scars than before, and his yellow eyes glowed with cruel humor. Human ship, you are in Krex space now. Turn around and leave, or we will destroy you. Chen smiled. It was the same expression a shark might have before attacking. Warlord Skrax, I presume. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Deep Space Fleet. You have exactly 30 seconds to release all prisoners and surrender your fleet. Skrax laughed. 30 seconds? Human, you are outnumbered. You have 6 ships. I have 53. Surrender to me and I might let you live as slaves. 20 seconds. You dare threaten me? I am Skrax the Destroyer. I have conquered 20 worlds. I have killed thousands. 10 seconds, Skrax's expression changed. He was starting to realize the human was serious. You're insane. Do you know who you're dealing with? 5 seconds. I will enjoy watching you die, human. Time's up. Chen cut the transmission and turned to her weapons officer. Blake, you may fire when ready. Blake had been waiting for this moment. His finger hovered over the firing control. Gladly, Captain. The human ships opened fire. What happened next would be studied in military academies for decades. The humans didn't charge in like heroes from old stories. They didn't fight fair. They fought to win. The first salvo of kinetic rounds hit the Krex flagship like the fist of an angry god. The massive ship, which had terrorized dozens of worlds, cracked in half and exploded. Warlord Skrax died before he knew what hit him. Plasma torpedoes followed, burning through Krex shields like they were made of paper. Railgun slugs punched holes through ship after ship. The humans fought with the cold efficiency of apex predators. The Krex tried to fight back, but they were not prepared for this. They were bullies who were used to fighting people who couldn't fight back. Against humans, their weapons seemed pitiful. Sir, reported Blake, 17 Krex ships destroyed, 36 remaining. Focus fire on the slave ships, Chen ordered. Disable them, don't destroy them. We need those people alive. The battle raged around New Eden. The Krex fleet, which had seemed so powerful an hour ago, was being torn apart by 6 human ships. Some tried to run. The humans hunted them down. Others tried to surrender. The humans ignored them and kept firing. There would be time for mercy later. Right now, there was only justice. The battle around New Eden had turned into something the galaxy had never seen before. Human warships moved through the Krex fleet like wolves through sheep. Captain Chen watched from her bridge as another enemy vessel exploded in a ball of plasma fire. Status report, she ordered. 29 Krex ships destroyed, reported Weapons Officer Blake. 15 slave ships have been disabled and secured. 7 Krex vessels are trying to escape the system. Don't let them leave, Chen said coldly. Hunt them down. On the main screen, the TSF Thunder was chasing a Krex cruiser toward the outer planets. The alien ship was fast, but human engines were faster. Captain Kim's vessel caught up and fired a spread of kinetic rounds. The Krex ship disappeared in a flash of light. "Sir," said Sensor Officer Martinez, "I'm reading massive destruction on the planet's surface. The Krex have been strip mining for hours. Whole sections of the crystal forests are gone." Chen clenched her fists. Each crystal tree had taken centuries to grow. The Zilani considered them sacred, part of their cultural heritage going back thousands of years. The Krex had destroyed them for profit. What about survivors? I'm detecting life signs in several refugee camps. Looks like the Krex herded the civilians into holding areas before loading them onto the slave ships. Chen opened a channel to all ships. "This is Chen to all vessels. Secure the remaining slave ships and prepare boarding parties. I want every Zilani civilian off those ships and back on their planet." "Captain," said Torres from the communication station, "we're getting a transmission from the planet's surface. Put it through." The image that appeared on screen made Chen's blood run cold. It was a Krex soldier standing in what used to be a Zilani school. Behind him, the bodies of blue-skinned children lay scattered on the ground. "Human ships," the soldier said. "This is Commander Vex of the Krex ground forces. For every ship you destroy, we will execute 100 prisoners. Withdraw now or watch them die." The bridge went silent. Every human could see the cruel smile on the alien's face. He was enjoying this. Chen's voice was deadly quiet. "Commander Vex, let me make something very clear to you. You have just threatened to murder children in front of a human military officer. That was a mistake. Your threats don't scare me, human. You are." Chen cut the transmission and turned to her tactical officer. "Martinez, I need precise coordinates on that transmission source." "Already on it, Captain." The signal came from the main Zilani settlement approximately 50 kilometers south of the primary crystal forest. "Blake, do we have a clean shot?" The weapons officer checked his instruments. "Yes, Captain. I can put a kinetic round within 5 meters of that building without hitting the prison camps." "Do it." The TSF Retribution fired a single kinetic round from its main gun. The metal slug, traveling at 30% the speed of light, hit the atmosphere and turned into a burning meteor. It struck the building where Commander Vex was standing, with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The explosion could be seen from orbit. "Sir," said Martinez, "that's a direct hit. No life signs detected at the target location." Chen activated the ship's long-range communications. Her message went out to every Krex soldier on the planet's surface. "This is Captain Chen to all Krex ground forces. Your commander just learned what happens when you threaten children in front of humans. You now have 2 choices. You can surrender immediately, or you can join him. You have 5 minutes to decide." The response was almost immediate. All across the planet, Krex soldiers began laying down their weapons and walking away from the prison camps with their hands raised. "Cowards," muttered Ensign Park. "No," Chen corrected him. "Smart. They know what humans are capable of now." The cleanup took several more hours. The remaining Krex ships were destroyed or captured. The slave ships were boarded by human marines who freed thousands of Zilani civilians. Medical teams began treating the wounded. But Chen wasn't finished. "Torres, open a channel to all frequencies. I want this message to reach every corner of the galaxy." "Channel open, Captain." Chen stood in front of the main viewer. Her uniform was clean, her expression was calm, but there was something in her eyes that made even her own crew nervous. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Deep Space Fleet. 3 days ago, the peaceful world of New Eden sent out a distress call. They were being attacked by pirates from the Krex Consortium. The Galactic Council decided to form a committee to discuss the situation." She paused, letting that sink in. "We decided to act. In the past 6 hours, we have destroyed 47 Krex warships, captured 6 more, and eliminated all ground forces that threatened innocent civilians. Over 12,000 Zilani civilians have been freed from slavery. On the screen behind her, images from the battle played. Human ships destroying Krek's vessels, Marines rescuing Zilani children, the smoking crater where Commander Vex used to stand. Let me be clear about something. The human species does not recognize the authority of pirates, slavers, or murderers. We do not care about their territorial claims. We do not negotiate with people who hurt children. Her voice grew colder. To every pirate organization listening to this message, if you attack innocent people, we will find you. If you take slaves, we will free them and destroy your ships. If you threaten children, we will erase you from existence. She stepped closer to the camera. This is not a threat, this is a promise. The galaxy has protectors now, whether it wants them or not. We are the children of Earth. We are Deathworlders, and we do not forgive. We do not forget. We do not show mercy to those who prey on the innocent. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, the message was heard by billions of beings. In the halls of the Galactic Council, politicians argued about the legal implications of human military action. In pirate bases and criminal hideouts, conversations stopped as hardened criminals realized they now had a new enemy. On New Eden, the Zilani survivors gathered in the ruins of their settlements. Elder Vashati, who had somehow survived the attack, stood among her people and looked up at the human ships in orbit. "Who are they?" asked young Meltar. The child had lost his parents in the attack, but the humans had saved him from the slave ships. "They are protectors," Vashati replied. "They came because we asked for help. They came because it was right." Above them, the human fleet maintained its watch. Captain Chen had already received new orders from Terran Command. The Admiral wanted her to return to patrol duties. She had politely declined. The TSF Retribution and her sister ships would remain in the New Eden system until the Zilani were back on their feet. The crystal forest would be replanted. The settlements would be rebuilt, and if any more pirates showed up, they would meet the same fate as the Krex Consortium. The galaxy was learning a new rule. Mess with the innocent, and the Deathworlders will come for you. And they would show no mercy. 3 days after the battle, the human fleet still orbited New Eden. Captain Chen stood in the medical bay of the TSF Retribution, watching Dr. Reeves tend to a young Zilani girl who had been rescued from the slave ships. The child couldn't be more than 8 years old in human terms. Her blue skin was pale from malnutrition, and her forearms were covered in bruises from Krex restraints. She had not spoken since being brought aboard. "How is she, Doctor?" Chen asked quietly. Dr. Reeves was an older woman with gray hair and gentle hands. She had been treating trauma victims for 20 years. Physically, she'll recover. The psychological damage will take longer to heal. She saw things no child should see. Chen knelt down next to the medical bed. The Zilani girl looked at her with large, frightened eyes. "Hello?" Chen said softly. "My name is Sarah. What's your name?" The girl said nothing, but she didn't look away. "It's okay if you don't want to talk," Chen continued. "But I want you to know something. You're safe now. No one is going to hurt you anymore. I promise." The girl's lower lip trembled. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she spoke. "They said they were going to sell me. They said humans were monsters who would eat me." Chen felt anger burn in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "Well, they were wrong about humans. We don't eat people. We protect them, especially children. Are you really going to keep me safe?" "Yes, and not just you. All your people." "That's a promise from every human in this fleet." For the first time since her rescue, the little girl smiled. Chen left the medical bay with murder in her heart. The Krex hadn't just attacked the Zilani. They had terrorized children, filling their minds with lies and fear. That was unforgivable. "Captain to the bridge," came Taurus's voice over the intercom. "We're receiving a priority transmission from Terran Command." Chen made her way to the bridge, where Admiral Harrison's hologram was waiting for her. "Admiral," she said with a salute. "Chen, I've been getting reports about your activities in the New Eden system. The Galactic Council is not happy." "With respect, sir, I don't much care what the Council thinks right now." Harrison nodded. "Neither do I, to be honest. But they're making noise about human aggression and unauthorized military action. They want you to leave the system immediately." Chen's jaw tightened. "Sir, these people need protection. If we leave now, more pirates will come. The Zilani can't defend themselves, I know. That's why I'm officially ordering you to return to your patrol route." Harrison paused. Unofficially, radio problems are common in deep space. Sometimes orders get delayed, Chen smiled. Understood, sir. We'll remain on station until our communications are repaired. See that you do. Harrison out. The hologram disappeared, leaving Chen alone with her crew. Before she could say anything, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Contact, shouted Martinez from the sensor station.
Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system.
On screen, Chen ordered. The main viewer showed a sight that made every human on the bridge tense. 20 ships had appeared, all of them bearing the skull and crossbone symbol of the Vextar Pirate Confederation. They were larger than the Krex vessels had been and heavily armed. Sir, said Torres, we're being hailed. Put it through. The creature that appeared on screen was a nightmare. The Vextar were insectoid beings with multiple eyes and razor-sharp mandibles. This one was larger than most, with scars covering its black carapace. Human ships, it clicked in Galactic Standard. I am Hive Lord Zektar of the Vextar Confederation. You have destroyed our business partners in the Krex Consortium. This is unacceptable. Chen stood up slowly. Let me guess. You're here for revenge. Revenge? No, human. We are here for profit. The Krex had mining rights to this system. With them gone, those rights transfer to us. You will leave immediately or we will destroy you. I don't think so. Zektar's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Human, you destroyed a weak pirate fleet with surprise and superior firepower. But we are not the Krex, we are warriors. We have been fighting for centuries. Your 6 ships cannot stand against 20 of ours. Chen looked around her bridge. Her crew was ready. Weapons were charged. Marines were suited up. Medical bays were prepared for casualties. You're probably right, she said finally. 6 ships can't stand against 20. Zektar seemed pleased. Then you will surrender? No, we'll fight anyway. The insect-like alien was clearly confused.
Why, you cannot win.
Your ships will be destroyed. Your crews will die for what? These are not even your people. Chen's expression grew cold. That's where you're wrong. The moment they called for help, they became our people. That's how humans work. We don't abandon those who need us. Then you will die for nothing. Maybe. But you'll remember us. Chen cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All hands battle stations. This is Captain Chen speaking to all vessels. We are about to engage a superior enemy force. The odds are not in our favor. Any ship that wants to withdraw has my permission to do so. The responses came immediately over the comm. Channel, TSF Hammer standing by, said Captain. Rodriguez, TSF Thunder ready for battle, reported Captain Kim. TSF Lightning locked and loaded, announced Captain Okafor. TSF Storm awaiting orders, declared Captain Petrov. TSF Fury prepared to engage, stated Captain. Jackson Chen felt pride swell in her chest. These were humans. These were her people. They would rather die fighting than abandon innocent civilians. All ships attack formation, she ordered. Priority targets are their command ships. We may not be able to win this, but we're going to make them pay for every meter of space. The human fleet moved to engage. They were outnumbered more than 3 to 1, facing an enemy that had been fighting wars for centuries. It should have been a massacre. It was, just not the way anyone expected. The humans didn't fight like the Vextar expected. They didn't line up and exchange broadsides like gentlemen. They fought like the predators they were. The TSF Lightning vanished from sensors, using its stealth systems to circle around behind the enemy fleet. When it reappeared, it was in the middle of the Vextar formation, firing kinetic rounds at point-blank range. The TSF Storm and TSF Fury worked as a team, one ship drawing enemy fire while the other flanked and destroyed the distracted vessels. Captain Chen's own ship, the TSF Retribution, went straight for Hive Lord Zektar's flagship. The massive Vextar dreadnought had armor that could withstand most weapons. It could not withstand a full spread of human plasma torpedoes fired at minimum range. Sir, reported Blake, enemy flagship is breaking apart. No life signs detected. Good, what's our status? TSF Lightning has taken heavy damage to her port side. TSF Thunder reports engine problems. We've lost contact with TSF Storm. Chen's heart sank. The TSF Storm had a crew of 35 people. Good people. Her people. Any survivors? Unknown, Captain. The wreckage is too scattered to scan effectively. The battle continued for another hour. When it was over, the Vextar fleet was gone. 18 ships destroyed, 2 captured. The humans had won, but victory came with a price. Final casualty report, Chen asked quietly. TSF Storm lost with all hands, Torres reported. TSF Lightning badly damaged, 12 crew dead, 8 wounded. TSF Thunder 6 dead, 15 wounded. Overall, we lost 53 people. Chen closed her eyes. 53 humans had died to protect people they had never met. 53 families would get visits from military chaplains. 53 names would be added to the memorial wall at Terran Command. Sir, said Martinez, we're getting a transmission from the planet. On the main screen, Elder Vashati appeared. The elderly Zelani was standing in what remained of their main settlement, surrounded by her people. Captain Chen, she said, her voice breaking with emotion, we do not have words to thank you. Your people died for us. Why? Why would you sacrifice so much for strangers? Chen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was steady but filled with grief. Because that's what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We fight for those who cannot fight. And when someone calls for help, we answer no matter the cost. Vashati bowed deeply. We will remember. Our children will remember. For 1,000 generations, the Zelani will remember that when we needed help, humans came. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Captain, said Ensign Park quietly. Was it worth it? Chen looked at him for a moment. Then at the stars beyond the main viewer. Somewhere out there, the rescued Zelani children were beginning to heal. Somewhere out there, other peaceful species would sleep safely because word was spreading about human protection. Ask me in 100 years, Ensign, when those children we saved have children of their own. When species across the galaxy know they have protectors. Ask me then if it was worth it. She turned and headed for her ready room. Torres, send a message to all ships in the region. Let them know New Eden is under human protection. Anyone who comes here with hostile intent will be dealt with accordingly. Yes, Captain. What about the Galactic Council? Chen paused at the door to her quarters. The Council can file a complaint. We'll be too busy protecting innocent people to read it. As she disappeared into her ready room, the surviving human ships maintained their watch over New Eden. They would stay as long as they were needed. The galaxy was learning that humans meant what they said. They were protectors now. And protectors did not abandon their charges. Not ever. 6 months had passed since the Battle of New Eden, and the galaxy had changed. Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Terran Defense Station, orbiting the blue-green world below. The station was massive, bristling with weapons and shields. It was a statement. New Eden was under human protection, and anyone who challenged that would face the consequences. Captain, said Commander Torres, approaching from behind. He had been promoted after the battle, taking over as Chen's executive officer. The morning reports are ready for your review. Chen turned from the viewport. Outside, she could see human patrol ships moving in precise formations around the planet. The Zelani had recovered faster than anyone expected. Their new crystal forests were already beginning to grow, aided by human agricultural technology. Any problems? 3 pirate ships attempted to enter the system this week. They turned around when our sensors locked onto them. Word is spreading that this system is off limits. Chen nodded. The message was getting through. But it wasn't just about New Eden anymore. What about the other incidents? Torres consulted his tablet. The Drax Syndicate pulled out of the Kepler colonies after our fleet showed up. The Siltar raiders abandoned their attack on the Peaceful World's trade route when they detected human ships in the area, and the Gorgon pirates canceled their planned assault on the Meditation Worlds entirely. It was working. The galaxy's predators were learning to avoid human-protected space. But it came at a cost. Casualties? Light, thankfully. 2 wounded in the Kepler incident, none in the others. The pirates are avoiding direct confrontation now. Smart of them. Chen walked to her office adjoining the observation deck. The walls were covered with star charts showing human patrol routes throughout the local sector. Red dots marked locations where pirates had once operated freely. Most of those dots were now crossed out. A priority communication signal blinked on her desk. Chen activated the hologram projector and Admiral Harrison appeared in full dress uniform. Admiral, Chen said, coming to attention. At ease, Captain. Or should I say Commodore Chen? Chen blinked in surprise. Sir? Your promotion came through this morning, along with authorization to establish the first human protection fleet. Congratulations. Chen felt a mix of pride and responsibility. Thank you, sir. What are my orders? You're getting 40 ships and authority to protect any system that requests human aid. The politicians back home aren't entirely happy about it, but public opinion is strongly in your favor. Harrison's expression grew serious. There's something else. Intelligence reports suggest the major pirate organizations are forming an alliance. They see human intervention as a threat to their operations. They're calling it the Crimson Pact. How many ships are we talking about? Conservative estimates put it at over 200 vessels from 12 different pirate factions. They're planning something big. Chen absorbed this information. 200 ships against 40. The odds were getting worse, not better. Sir, with respect, 40 ships won't be enough if they all come at once. I know. That's why I'm giving you discretionary authority to recruit allied vessels. Find species willing to fight for their own freedom. Train them, arm them. Make them into a proper defense force. The hologram flickered slightly, indicating the transmission was coming from a long distance. One more thing. Chen, the Galactic Council has officially condemned human military actions as unauthorized aggression. They're demanding we withdraw from all non-human systems. And our response? Admiral Harrison smiled grimly. Our response is that the Terran Federation recognizes the right of all sentient beings to request protection from those capable of providing it. If the Council doesn't like it, they can file a complaint. The transmission ended, leaving Chen alone with her new rank and new responsibilities. Commodore. It had a nice ring to it. A soft chime indicated someone was at her door. Enter. Elder Vashati walked in, moving with the grace typical of her species. The Zelani leader had become a close ally over the past months, helping to coordinate relief efforts for other attacked worlds. Commodore, she said with a slight bow, I heard about your promotion. Congratulations. Thank you, Elder. What brings you to the station? Vashti's expression grew grave. We have received troubling news from our contacts in the outer systems. The pirates are indeed gathering, but it's worse than your intelligence reports suggest. She activated a small holographic projector, showing a star map of the local sector. Red indicators marked known pirate bases. They are not just forming an alliance. They are planning to make an example. Our sources say they intend to attack a human-protected world with overwhelming force, broadcast the battle across the galaxy, and prove that human protection is worthless. Chen studied the map. Do we know which world? 3 possibilities. New Eden as the original target, the Kepler colonies as they have the largest human presence, or Sanctuary. Chen's blood ran cold. Sanctuary was a refugee world where survivors from a dozen different attacks had been relocated. It was home to over 1 million civilians from species that had been brutalized by pirates. If the Crimson Pact attacked there, it would be a massacre. When? Soon. Perhaps within days. Chen activated her communication system. All senior staff to the briefing room immediately. We have a situation. An hour later, the briefing room was filled with the commanders of the human fleet. Captain Rodriguez, Captain Kim, Captain Okafor, Captain Petrov, Captain Jackson, and a dozen others. These were the officers who had fought at New Eden and a dozen battles since. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen began, we have a problem. Intelligence suggests the pirates are planning a major attack on one of our protected worlds. They want to prove that human protection means nothing. She activated the main display showing estimated enemy strength. 200 ships minimum, possibly more. They'll hit fast and hard, trying to overwhelm our defenses before reinforcements can arrive. Captain Rodriguez leaned forward. What are our orders, Commodore? We're going to stop them. How? We're outnumbered 5-1. Chen smiled, and it was the same predatory expression her crew had learned to recognize. We're going to do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds. We're going to fight smarter, not harder. She highlighted several locations on the star map. We're not going to wait for them to attack. We're going to hit them first. Fast surgical strikes on their supply bases. Destroy their fuel depots, their ammunition stores, their repair facilities. Make them come to us hungry and running on empty. Captain Kim nodded slowly. Divide and conquer, exactly. Force them to split their fleet to protect their bases. Then we pick them off piece by piece. The briefing continued for 2 more hours as they planned what would become known as the Hunter Campaign. Human ships would spread across the sector, hitting pirate bases in coordinated strikes. It was dangerous, risky, and completely insane. It was also typically human. 3 days later, the campaign began. The TSF Lightning hit a Vextar supply depot in the Outer Rim, destroying 3 months' worth of ammunition in a matter of minutes. The TSF Thunder eliminated a Krex repair facility, leaving a dozen pirate ships stranded without engine parts. The TSF Storm's replacement, the new TSF Vengeance, vaporized a fuel depot that supplied half the pirate fleets in the sector. For 2 weeks, human ships struck like ghosts in the night. They appeared without warning, destroyed their targets, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The pirates were forced to split their forces to protect their remaining assets, but the enemy adapted. They began traveling in larger groups, making them harder targets. They established new supply lines. Most importantly, they finalized their plans for the big attack. It came on a Tuesday. Chen was on the bridge of the defense station when the alarm sounded. "Contact," shouted the sensor officer. "Massive fleet dropping out of hyperspace." "Where?" "Sanctuary system. I count 137 vessels." Chen's heart sank. Sanctuary. The refugee world. 1 million innocent civilians who had already suffered enough. How long until we can get there? 43 minutes at maximum speed, too long. The pirates would have completed their attack by then. All ships emergency jump to Sanctuary. Maximum speed. As the human fleet raced through hyperspace, Chen could only imagine what was happening at Sanctuary. The refugees who had found safety there. The children who had started to believe they were safe. When the human ships dropped out of hyperspace at Sanctuary, they found a battle in progress. But it wasn't the battle Chen had expected. The pirate fleet was there all right. But they weren't attacking helpless civilians. They were fighting for their lives. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're getting a transmission from Sanctuary Defense Command." The image that appeared on screen was not what Chen expected. It was a human woman in naval uniform, but behind her, Chen could see beings from dozens of different species working at control stations. "Commodore Chen, this is Admiral Sarah Kim of the Sanctuary Defense Force. Good to see you." "Admiral? Sarah, when did you get promoted?" "About 2 hours ago, when I was elected to command the combined refugee fleet. Turns out when you give people the tools to fight back, they're pretty eager to use them." On the tactical display, Chen could see what had happened.